are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
Hello, and welcome once again to another. This one is probably going to be I'm going to say it's going to be something that you probably were not expecting. It's going to be, again, everything is always related to credit. It's always related to how do certain things tie in. Today, I'm going to do something that Democrats have not been able to do. Now, I'm going to step away just a tad bit from our normal understanding. But again, stay with me. Ride it out. I'm telling you, the roller coaster that you're going to be on right now, it's going to be exhilarating. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of things that you probably didn't think that it was going to be. But again, all of it ties in. And the only way for us to understand how does it tie in is we got to go a little bit back. We got to go back a little bit in time to realize, what is it all mean? What does it really all mean? What does this Build Back Better? What does leverage credit recovery? And what does Sinema, Manchin, and what the Democrats are not doing? How does that all tie in so well? My job today is to do what Democrats have failed to do. They're selling you something. And I say it all the time. This is not a show where we sell you anything. This is a show where we offer, where we give you information, where we provide you with the utmost so that you, the consumer, can make an educated decision. So as always, my name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the CEO, your dressed down CEO, wearing a collar today. Oh, what am I doing? Wearing a collar today because I was serious business with my students. But I'm your dressed down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery, and this is my Tuesdays. This is the day where I come and I give you, that audience, this positive, this most up-to-date information so that you, again, as a consumer, can go into the world and have a better understanding about your finances. Finances are not just credit. Finances are a variety of different understanding. It's your wages. It's what are you doing as far as assets? And I talk about that so much because my good dear friend, mentor, and someone that I truly appreciate, Yana B. Woodhouse, again, she takes it to that utmost next level for you. But we got to start somewhere. We got to get all of us on the same page. And in order for us to get on that same page, we're going to have to make some necessary steps backwards, find some or make some adjustments to getting us to where we understand the information and how it's best going to serve us. So today's show is going to be a wealth of knowledge. So I'm hoping that all of you who are participating today, those of you who made the time, I am greatly appreciative of you. Thank you so much for always giving us that understanding because it means the world to me. So thank you as always. So before we get started, let's give that creator nothing but the utmost of appreciation because we woke up this morning. And if you haven't thanked them because you woke up, now is that time to thank him. If you are getting ready to get on that night shift and you're getting ready to go to sleep, Please do that also. Give that creator the utmost thanks, because we are not guaranteed tomorrow. But when we get it, we should be very, very thankful of that tomorrow. All right, so I'm jumping dead on into it right now, because this, as I stated, this is where I get to do something. And I'm hoping and praying that some Democrats are watching, some leadership, some of these individuals who have probably never watched shows like this before. They just know it all. They just have all of the best impossible information. But you don't. You're talking, rich people are talking about poor people as if it's okay, as if it's just their norm, because they're so accustomed to doing it. Well, today, a poor person is going to do what Democrats, rich Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, all of those House individuals, Chuck Schumer, all of those individuals in the Senate. I'm going to do something that they have unsuccessfully been able to do. I'm going to explain, and I'm going to be sending this out to my individuals on our side of the world, and I'm going to also be sending it out to individuals on that upper echelon side of the world. I want to see if I can get some engagement. I want to see if I can get those in Washington to really. So I'm going to need everybody who made the time to be here today. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to be sending it out to you, and I'm hoping that you can send it out to one person. So that one person that I'm talking about is the one person that I always ask you to share. All right, get online, go ahead, start sharing this out too. And it's just a really quick, we are online. Join in the conversation. If you can do that for me, I'd be greatly appreciative, because why not? Why are we holding this information dear and near to our hearts, but we're not sharing it? This is about sharing. And my students say it all the time. Sharing is caring, Mr. Glover. I have to crack up because it's something that they're repeating because we repeat it to them. But sharing is caring. So we're online. Get it out there into the stratosphere, the atmosphere, the World Wide Web. Let people know that we're here. We're doing what we need to be doing. And today's show, as I stated, it's going to be full of information. We have to become a informed consumer. We have to become an informed constituency. We have to become more informed, because there's some time frames that are going to be coming up here, 2022, 2024, where they're going to need us. And the more that you are informed, the better you're going to be able to make educated understandings about your financial circumstances, your financial situation. So this ties in so well. And I'm going to jump in right now. So if you did me the due diligence of sending it out, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And as always, we're online. Join in the conversation. There it is. I got mine out. Messenger, and there we go. Boom. Just dropping it in. Just dropping it. Just sending it to everybody on my, because this is one of those shows. This is definitely one of those shows where I believe got to get it out. Got to get this information right here, got to get it out. Because if the Democrats can't do it, if those who are in the House, who is in the Senate, if they can't do it, then they're going to need people like me. They're going to need individuals like me who believe in what they're bringing to the table, but yet they can't offer it. This is nothing to be sold. Just that simple. Nothing to be sold. So let's jump on into it. All right. So as you always know, our recovery depends on what we do now. It's just that simple. It depends on what we do now. You're going to need leverage. You're going to need credit. And it's all about your recovery. That's why this name was strategically thought out for this particular time in our history. This particular time in our history, this name was thought out for this particular time in our history. I never knew we were going to have a pandemic. So when I even came up with the name, I never knew that it was going to have such a significant impact. You need leverage. You clearly know that, because the Democrats can't even pass something that they ran on, and they can't even get it over the finish line. So we need leverage, credit, because clearly no one believes in the Democrats, but we all understand that credit. Without a 728 credit score, it's going to be very challenging to get what these programs are offering. And it's all about our recovery, folks. It's all about our recovery. It's just that simple. We're going to recover. The question is, how fast or how slow is that recovery going to be? And for me, I believe it's going to be significantly faster than I had probably or previously thought, because I want it more than those who are offering it to me. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do way more. I'm going to do way more than those who think, oh, well, maybe whatever's going through their mind. I'm going to go out and do way more than they could ever possibly imagine. And my job is to provide the information, be the resource that you need. And I'm hoping that those of you who make that time, that you will ultimately reach out to Leverage Credit Recovery, reach out to Soul City Network, reach out to Access Wealth Nation. These resources are valuable, and they're going to be able to navigate you through whatever financial circumstances that you might be confronted with. You gotta want it more than those who are providing it to you. It's just that simple. All right, my apologies. So what is in the Build Back Better agenda? The Build Back Better agenda is an ambitious plan to create jobs, cut taxes, and lower cost of work for working families. Those three things right there: jobs, cut taxes, and lower cost. Again, we've talked about, how do I get more money in my wallet? Well, we talked about credit. You get more money in your wallet by reducing your interest rates. This is just an additive. So I'm giving you, let's put it like this. We're making a cup of coffee because I love coffee so much. And I don't like my coffee black. I like it light and sweet. But if there's not enough milk in there, what am I going to do? I'm going to add some more. If there's not enough sugar in there, I'm going to add some more. What I'm doing here is I'm giving you some more additives to this Build Back Better agenda. But you got to stay with me until the very end, because if you are just popping in, you're probably thinking, wow, this guy is bringing some cool stuff to the table. And if you catch me in the middle, you're going to be missing out on that beginning piece. So I want you to stick with me. I want you, just like I tell my students, all I need you to do, follow along. All I need you to do is give me your full attention. If you do that, I'm promising you, you will walk away fully versed and have a better understanding of how this agenda, along with what you have to do as a consumer, is going to help you significantly. All right. So, as I stated, agenda is an ambitious plan to create jobs, cut taxes, and lower costs for working families, all paid for by making the tax code fairer and making the wealthiest and the largest companies pay their fair share. Again, when I talk about subsidies and corporate welfare, that's going to come up later, you're going to understand what I mean by that. Because if the government gives our tax dollar to corporations and they give our tax dollars to big business, who misses out? We, the consumer. We, the consumer. And what I'm going to show you is going to be staggering, and it's going to be alarming. It's going to be staggering. So, I mean, let me stop talking. Let me present it to you, because this is what's going to change the way that you think about this agenda. And it's equally going to put your footing, hopefully, somewhere firm to understand that I'm going to have to do more. If I want to reap the benefits, I am going to have to do more. And this is why we're setting you up for success. All right, so here's some of the important things that you need to walk away with, which Democrats fail to do. They talk about a number, 3.5 trillion, 3.5 trillion, 3.5 trillion. Oh, now we got to reduce it to 1.7 trillion or 2.0 trillion. Stop selling me a number and start offering me the understanding of what I need to understand about what these programs are. Low cost, lower children's care cost. Now, again, many of us, I'm a teacher. I spend 8 hours of my day inside of school. Do I not think that this would help parents significantly? Of course it would. Of course it would. For 57% of children under the age 6, there are no good choices for childcare where they live. I mean, the percentage alone should scare the bejesus out of anyone. 57% of children. have no good choices of care. That for me, it's unimaginable that we live in one of the richest, or if not, as we keep constantly saying, the richest nation on the face of the planet, but yet we have 57% of children under the age of 6 that do not have good childcare. Why? One, because clearly their parents don't have enough income, and we've talked more than enough about income. Number two, their parents either don't have sufficient credit where they can use a credit product to maybe offset that difference of that cost that this might be more or less burdening them with. But if we can get it from a program that would help make sure that 57% of these kids now receive that understanding, this is not something that needs to be sold. This is something that needs to be offered. Here's a choice for you folks. Low income individual, a choice. You can go back to what the previous guy was offering, or you can look at what low cost children's care would actually, how it would actually help you. I'm not going to read every single bullet point on there or every single point on there, but you can get the gist of what I'm saying. The Build Back Better agenda has more benefits for African Americans, Hispanics, individuals of color, and I'm going to have to throw in there, obviously, our Anglo-Saxon Americans who are in that lower echelon, meaning poor, and also who are in that middle class. These programs are going to help you equally. Lower higher education costs. I went to school in Germany. I'm just going to leave it like that. Free. F-R-E-E. Free. Not only was my school free, I also had a job that was paid for by the employer, meaning they paid me a salary, they gave me a wage, and they equally paid for my school, my employer. Why in the world can we not have that here in the richest country on the face of the planet? Education beyond high school is increasingly important to succeed in the 21st century economy, even as it has become unaffordable to many families. Why is education unaffordable? Why? Why? Because we have companies like Fannie Mae and what's that other one? Fannie Mae and Navient, who are just creating all kind of havoc. We have prices that have gone through the roof for college. And for what reason? For no reason other than to make rich people richer and poor people poor. The Build Back Better agenda would provide 2 years of free community college. Now, I think that's a little bit MAGA, meaning a tiny bit of what they could be doing. It should be free for the entire time. It should be free for the entire time, boosting the earnings of low-wage high school graduates by nearly $6,000 per year. I'm sorry. Sounds good. I don't believe that it is good, but we're going to give them the benefit of a doubt because they're actually addressing something that is very well and most needed in communities of color, low-income communities, obviously communities where there's a heavy population of African Americans, heavy population of Hispanics, clearly a heavy populations of poor and middle-class Anglo-Saxons. This is where that divide keeps popping up. This is where that divide keeps popping up. You got Republicans, Democrats. I'm going to put them both in the same bucket because they belong in the same bucket. You're not really doing much. I want to believe you. I really, truly want to take my hat off and say you guys are doing everything that you possibly can, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I can't call someone my dear colleague who's got a knife in my back, and every time I keep turning around, they're just putting more and more knives in that back. We got to want more. We got to want better for ourselves, and this today is definitely addressing that. More jobs, tax cuts, lower costs. Just 2 programs right there. Just 2 parts of the agenda right there. Lower child care costs and lower higher education costs. So I hope you're keeping up, and we're keeping it 100. Lower housing costs. The staggering number of individuals in this country that are African American, Hispanic, that do not own homes is alarming. It is alarming. It's not that the homes are too expensive. It's not that the homes are too expensive. It's that we've had programs or we've had institutions out there that will not do what they're supposed to do, that will not take your information as valid. They're going to bring you drive you or take you through all of these hoops and loops like you're some circus animal. Well, let's hope that this part of the agenda will reduce some of the difficulties. It will, which I'm almost certain that it will, but there's still going to be some pieces that you, along with your understanding of how credit works. And that's what I'm saying. This all ties in. Do you think you're going to be able to get one of these low housing cost initiatives if your data is not correct? Absolutely not. I talk about data all the time. I talk about statistics all the time. As long as you are doing what you need to do, this program or this part of the agenda is going to work out significantly for you. It's going to work out so well. Driven by the lowest shortfall of new housing units in 50 years. Again, 50 years. The last time that we had a conversation referencing 50 years, I was talking about the last time that we had a march on Washington. 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And what were we talking about? The same things that we talked about 50 years prior to that. I do not, and I will not, and I cannot accept anything less than huge improvements should we have another march on Washington. Nothing but huge improvements should we have another march on Washington. 50 years, rent and housing prices continue to increase, with some 10.5 million renters paying more than half their income in rent. And hands raised, 50%. I was even actually paying more than 50% of my income. Not because I want to live in all of these fancy schmancy places. And a lot of the fancy schmancy places were garbage. They were trash. All they did is put luxury on the building, but they offered you nothing but garbage. Garbage. Yes, I'm going to say it. Sawyer Place in Yonkers, New York. Garbage. Just that simple. I'm putting it out there. Putting it out there. Be careful of who and where you rent, because a lot of these places are just taking advantage. That's why we need to be homeowners. We need to get out of these situations where we're giving all of our money. Again, 50% of your money goes to somewhere where you get absolutely nothing back in return. And the slumlords that I've had the pleasure of meeting, this right here would alleviate a lot of the unnecessary hardships that are being levied on consumers, primarily African Americans, Hispanics, individuals of color, and again, Anglo-Saxons, poor middle-class Anglo-Saxons riding a Trump train for what? The other guy has nothing. He offers you nothing. He gives you nothing. He's only looking out for his best interest. It's now time for all of us to what's Sierra say? Level up the conversation and become wiser, smarter, far more intelligent consumers. Because a lot of us have gone through the rigors of education and higher education, but we're not using that common sense. We're not applying. We're not doing the things that a coach, and that's all this is. This is a coach. This is someone who is passionate about what they do, coaching you, that consumer, in an area in which it's going to benefit you. And I hope that all of you understand this is not about me. It's not about Leverage Credit Recovery. It's not about Soul City Network. This is about you, the consumer. We're just a provider of this valuable resource that you are going to need before you make any decision. So the Build Back Better agenda will use tax credits and government financing to boost affordable and resilient housing, supporting the construction or rehabilitation of more than 2 million homes. If you're listening to me today, you should be part of that 2 million homes. If you're listening to me today, if you've listened to me prior to today, you should be a part of that 2 million homes. You're far more intelligent. You're far more educated. You already have some of these skill sets. Now, let's make sure that when these programs, when these initiatives get rolled out, that you are not necessarily first or second or third in line, but that you are in line. Not a passerby, but in line waiting for that opportunity. Lower prescription drug costs. Americans pay 2 to 3 times more of their prescriptions drugs than people in other wealthier countries. And nearly 1 in 4 Americans struggle to afford prescription drugs. I have an elderly mother. I have a lot of elderly friends. I'm in my 50s myself. So I myself, thank goodness and thank God that I'm healthy and wealthy in that sense, that I don't need to have prescription drugs, that I'm doing so much better. I had a fantastic upbringing that taught me how to use natural medicines versus using synthetic medicines. So, but again, we still have a population that needs these understandings. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs is only going to help individuals retain and keep more of their assets in their pockets. And it would also allow for you to diversify, bringing some of those assets into some of these asset classes that we don't even think about even participating in. These agendas are only going to lower your cost and help you retain more of your hard-earned. But Democrats clearly do not know how to offer it. They're attempting to sell you something. I'm not going to sell you on housing costs. I'm going to offer you something that's better than the other individual. I'm not going to sell you on drug costs. I'm going to offer you something that's better than the other individual. There's nothing here to sell. We got to talk about it. You got to talk about it with me. I got to talk about it with you. And I'm hoping that those of you who are partaking today are really understanding, wow, this is very valuable. And if you are walking away with that understanding, great. Tax cuts for families with children. Now, I would love to see tax cuts with just overall. I don't have any kids. So should I be left out of the tax cuts with children? Tax cuts for workers without children. So there's a little bit of both there. Is that tax cuts really, when you think about it, is that a lot? It's not a lot. It's not a lot. But something is better than nothing. And as we continue to keep going from where we are into where we need to be, you're going to find out not only are these tax cuts and can these tax cuts get larger, but they need to be larger. When I get to the corporate welfare as well as the subsidies, you will start understanding. I'm telling you, what they don't give us, they're giving to big business. What they do not give us, they're giving to the most profitable companies in our country. These companies just reap and reap and reap and reap and reap. And who pays that cost? We do. They keep talking about, this is going to be the biggest thing since the last time we did something like this, which was over 60, 70 years. Why did it take 60 and 70 years? There's no reason for that. But we allowed for individual companies to become trillion-dollar entities. A third of all adults with children struggle to pay their usual expenses. Why do we struggle to pay our usual expenses? We can't all be living above our means. Well, let me address that means part as well. You can't live above your means when your means have never been sufficiently met. The American Rescue Plan increases the tax child credit, or the children's tax credit, from $2,000 per child to $3,000 per child. Again, these are all understanding and positive. That will help you and your family get to that next understanding. And once we start teaching you how to manage that money properly, once we start showing you how to invest in asset classes that you do not invest in, once we start helping you with navigating a lot of these unfortunate credit circumstances that have been levied upon you by 3 of the most egregious companies known to man, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. All they do is take, and provide absolutely nothing. Nothing. These plans, these initiatives, I'm telling you now, these agendas are going to help because they're going to shed some light on what we really need, which they're already doing that. And it's going to allow for us to reconcile with our past in the manner in which these companies will feel the brunt, not of our frustration, but our jubilation that we're finally getting somewhere and moving the needle towards what consumers of this country need. Just that simple. Tax cuts for workers without children. The president's agenda expands the American Rescue Plan, increases to the earned income tax for, and again, $543 to $1,500. Yes. Does that seem like a whole bunch? Again, not as much as what corporate America gets in subsidies, but something, as I said, is better than nothing. It's just a small little drop in a large ocean. And as we move through these understandings, we're going to be able to free up a lot more of what's not being provided and start going after these companies that reap benefits, subsidies. These are the biggest welfare queens, and again, corporate welfare queens that you've ever seen in your entire life. And I got some numbers that are being popping up here pretty soon that's going to help you understand. If we stop giving money to these companies that are making profit. Now, when you go get food stamps or when you go get some type of assistance, they're not going to give you that assistance based on your gross. They're going to give you that assistance based off your net. Do you know these companies get all their subsidies based on just their name? That's it. They don't look at almost nothing. Oh, you need a couple of $100 million? Whoa, here you go. Like I said, watch what I'm going to show you. All right, so $543 to $1,500. Yes, that's something. This will benefit roughly 17 million low-wage workers. Well, if the federal government were to just raise the minimum wage from where it is currently, $7.25, and put it up to $15, this right here probably wouldn't even need it. Actually, we would still need it because of the cost of living, where it has significantly risen higher than almost anything else. And as we all know, the pandemic has only wreaked more havoc. We got Christmas time and all of these holidays coming up where they're talking about, oh, you better do your shopping now. Better get it out of the way now, because deliveries or shipments that are coming from all of these foreign nations, they might not make it in time for your holiday season. Don't get bought into the gimmicks. There's another show that I'm going to be doing that's going to have a lot about the gimmicks and what we as a public need to be doing so that we don't get bought into thinking, oh, these businesses are doing so much for us. No. We need to send a clear message to big business, big banks, and obviously the dysfunction that's going on in Congress. Because these individuals will never be able to regulate companies that they are heavily invested in. Why is Facebook creating all of this drama? Why was the whistleblower from Facebook over in London speaking to their parliament? Because these companies, we've allowed them to get so large that they are unaccountable to anyone. And Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian are all billion-dollar entities that believe they are too large, and because that are individuals of or Congress or Senate or wherever you want, House, it doesn't matter, all of these elected officials from dog catcher all the way up to president, they're invested in these companies. They have stock and ownership in these companies. So why would they want to regulate these companies? Why? I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me, but you should. You should have never got into that type of situation to begin with. Conflict of interest. Just that simple. Just that simple. So you got tax cuts for families with children, and you have tax cuts for workers without children. Creates jobs. All right. A workforce training. The U.S. has a critical they're critically underinvested in workforce development. Millions of jobs have been going unfulfilled in growing sectors such as construction and healthcare. What about teaching? What about variety? What about not just teaching? What about elderly care? Doesn't have to just be healthcare. What about making sure that our 70s and 80s and 90-year-old active seniors have someone that can come in and step in and make sure that their housings are clean? What about making sure that the access to seniors to be able to get in and out of their residence without all of the nonsensical things of being able to have someone buzz you in? It should be a lot easier. We're using all of this technology, but we're not using it wisely. Workforce training, great. But the individuals that are training us, how well are they trained? I've been in the game for 23 years in retail, 23. And I can tell you right now, the training that those individuals got, it's less than anything. It really, to be honest with you, it was lackluster. It failed because you sit in front of a computer and you click, 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 click. Nobody's literally walking you throughout the store, showing you department. I can tell you right now, when I worked at Petco, it was definitely like that. Oh, we took the employees by the hand. We wanted to make sure that you understood what you were offering to individuals. And it's always about offering. It's not about selling. It's about offering. If the individual is a highly educated individual, and if you can keep that individual's attention for the time frame so that they can understand this product versus that product, you're going to walk away with a consumer that's going to come back. They're going to be a lifer consumer. They're going to keep coming back. They're going to keep coming back. They're going to keep coming back. Clean energy jobs. You had Joe talking in Joe's hometown, Delaware, talking about coal. Really? Again, we can re-educate those individuals. We can make sure that they have well-paying jobs in an industry that we are moving away from. Coal. Why aren't we using more electricity? Why aren't we using more wind? Why aren't we using more water? This right here, clean energy jobs, will allow for that to happen. When President Biden thinks about climate change, he thinks about jobs to position the United States to tackle the climate crises and advance environmental justice. We're going to have to do this. There's no way of getting around it. We're going to have to do this. I lived in Germany. I got to travel through Europe. I got to be as a flight attendant for United Airlines. I got to travel throughout the world. Of the 7 continents, I've been on 4. And of the advanced continents, I see the bullet trains. I see clean water situations. I don't hear about lead in pipes that I hear about in my own city today. In my own state, knowing that New York State is one of the original 13 colonies, but yet we're still dealing with probably some of those piping systems that were probably even back once they started this great experiment of America. I know it's not that far back, but again, it's disappointing that we're talking about something that should have never happened. Lead in pipes. You either care or you don't. And clearly, the individuals in this country do not care as much as they should. And this Biden agenda is only going to highlight, and hopefully it's going to help. And I hope that I did my part tonight, which helping you understand what's in it. There's clearly more that you need to know about what's in it, but I'm hoping that Democrats literally sat back and said, wow, this guy did a better job than we did. Low housing costs driven by the largest shortfall on new housing over 50 years. I had to bring this one back because I really wanted the individuals to understand this one. Low housing costs, low housing costs, low housing costs, low housing costs. We should all be owners. Your biggest asset is going to come through what you own, not what you rent. What you own. And investments in teaching and schools. I'm a teacher, so I can tell you right now, some of the schools that I've had the privilege of being in, unfortunately, due to the shortcomings of the states, due to the shortcomings of these so-called elected officials, I'm sorry, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You'd rather make sure that the entity that comes to lobby you, making sure that they give you enough, that's what you're for. Well, I'm here to lobby. We keep saying that the people don't have a voice. Well, today, the people have a voice. The voice is coming from Tyrone Glover. Even before the pandemic, our schools faced an estimated teacher shortage of 100,000, undermining the education of our children and students of colors in particular. This agenda will address some of these shortcomings. It will help with making sure that we expand free school meals to additional 9.3 million. It's going to help with upgrading the school infrastructures. It's going to do a lot of the things that I'm currently seeing now that are not meeting the cut. It's not measuring up. It's not. And we should all be shocked. We should all be stunned at why we're now addressing it 50 some odd years later. We've been always addressing it, but that's all we've been doing. Just addressing it. We've always been talking about it. We've never really implemented very much. I've been back in New York State for the last 6 years. And in the last 6 years, I'm still running over the same potholes. I'm still going down the same street that's got these same 9 big old bumps. I'm watching a government only put sidewalk, I guess it's sidewalk enhancements for wheelchairs so that they can get up and down only on one side. You're either going to put them on both sides because, again, why should a wheelchair person have to go around the street to come up on the other side? You should put them on both sides. What, cost? You can't tell me that is costing too much. I can tell you right now, this city spends and overspends on its own personal needs than it should on its citizens' needs. All right, so the Build Back Better agenda. Here's where you now can go. Share how the Build Back Better agenda helps you and your family. Again, go to the White House website, look on that website, click through, share your thoughts, your understandings. Please, the only way for them to do what we want them to do is they're going to have to hear our voice. You might think it falls on deaf ears, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. The only reason why I'm so invested in this is because I'm a teacher, I'm a business owner, I'm an uncle, I'm a brother, I'm a friend, I'm someone who values the understanding of this nation. I'm a veteran, I'm someone who loves their country beyond almost anything outside of my family. I'm someone who knows that this is long overdue, and if we, the people, do not start stepping up, we're going to miss out. It's just that simple. You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on every opportunity that this experiment of America was thought of and how it was supposed to give you those benefits. And we got to stop letting elected officials go out into the public sphere selling something that they themselves know it's not going to work in how they're presenting it. They know that. They know that. They talk about the dollar amount, the dollar amount, the dollar amount. Let's talk about the benefits. When I was selling shoes at Foot Locker, I brought up 3 different jobs already. Foot Locker, Nike shoes, they are a benefit. Why? They got great support. They got the air systems in it. They're a narrower shoe. So if you're someone who needs a narrower shoe, it would work better for you. If you're someone who needs a wider shoe, maybe you might need a New Balance. But the one thing that we always offered with those shoes were socks and was a Spanko. Yeah, I'm putting it out there. Socks and a Spanko. You're going to need clean socks because if you're wearing shoes and you're sweating, when you get home or before you get home, you might want to switch those socks out and put on a fresh pair. Keeps your feet nice and comfy. That Spanko, that insole, that only gave you added leverage with that arch support. It only gave you added comfort. So again, Democrats do not know how to sell. They don't even know how to offer. So my job today was to offer a choice. this particular understanding, or we can go right back to the other guy. Because I can tell you right now, if the other guy doesn't run, there's going to be somebody who's going to be far worse than that guy. And I can tell you right now, DeSantis in Florida, it's not Perry. I can't remember the young man in, let it come to me, that governor in Texas right now. So there's a lot of them out there that are not looking after our well-being. They're looking after only their well-being. And all of these Trumpicans that keep tooting that horn, they think that they're doing something for, again, their Anglo-Saxon brethren. You guys need to wake up. You need to wake up. You need to really wake. Don't get woke. You need to wake up. Because if you think that they are looking after your best interest, you're not even in the same bracket as they are. They don't care about you. They'll talk as much talk. Oh, look at what this one over here is done. Look at what that one over there. They're taking from you. The ones who are taking from you, I'm getting ready to show you. So the Build Back Better agenda seems like common sense legislation. So what's the issue? What is the issue? Oh, now we see what the issue. Corporate welfare and subsidies. How corporate welfare helps you. And there it is. This right here is a perfect example of why. Right there. Right there. This is going to take 2 days. So our next show will continue this. But I'm going to highlight a lot of the things that you all should know. And we're not talking about it enough because this is stuff that nobody really wants to talk about. I want to talk about it. I want to find out and understand why so much of our resources go to companies that are making profits. Why do they need it anymore? These are all of our tax dollars going to companies that do not need any of it because there are multi-billion-dollar companies. Profit over profit over profit over profit over profit over profit, but yet they still keep requesting, and our government still keeps giving them our tax dollar. All right, corporate welfare. That's what it is, corporate welfare, and we'll talk about subsidies in just a minute. So the Democrats need to stop attempting to sell the Build Back Better agenda and start offering the agenda as a choice, autocracy or democracy. Democrats need to learn how to explain what's in the bill for all citizens now that disenfranchised, misguided, and misinformed and deceived citizens of color and Anglo-Saxons understand the other guy didn't have their best interest at hand. Democrats need to turn to and employ true patriots who believe in the rule of law, oath of office, and the Constitution of the United States to present the Build Back Better agenda to the American people. That's it. If the Democrats can do that, which we already know they can't, that's why I'm here doing it today. But if they choose to do that, there it is. There's the layout right there. The Republican brand today is no longer the brand we grew up with. It has revealed its true colors and what it truly stands for. Members of the Republican brand believe we, the people, we, the citizens, aren't worthy nor deserving of the same liberties and freedoms they are afforded. Democrats nor Republicans will regulate industries they are invested in. It's just that simple. They won't. So we, the people, have to make a stance. And today is that stance. All right, so take a look at the rich need to pay their fair share. Corporate welfare versus social welfare. In America today, the biggest recipients of handouts are not poor people, they're corporations. Read that one more time, Mr. Glover. Sure. In America today, the biggest recipients of handouts are not poor people, they're corporations. Just that simple. So here's one that was alarming to me, and I was so glad that I found it. Corporate welfare and government subsidies corrupt the world we live in and wreak havoc on so many of our social welfare systems. Let's talk about food subsidies. We spend more than $200 billion annually, or more than $1,500 per household in subsidies. And there's a great book that I need everybody to take a look at. The Big Handout. The Big Handout. For that, we get higher prices at the checkout, a greater likelihood of obesity, increased environmental damage, and domestic terrorism. Every year we spend $3.65 billion on oil subsidies and gas subsidies, and on average, $5 billion in direct payments to farmers. The Big Handout pulls no punches. This is a must read. Grab that book, take a look at it. I'm telling you right now, what you will find in that not only will alarm you, but it will also awaken you to understand a lot of these companies are getting subsidies that they do not even need. So let's dive a little bit more into it. All right, we can't afford the rich anymore. We can't. I'm so tired of people suggesting we want something for nothing. We just want something to show for our tax money other than wars, bailouts, and corporate welfare programs. We can't afford the rich anymore. Plus, the rich don't need it anymore. All right, so here's some of the welfare queens that I was telling you about. Look at these totals. Look at what these individuals take. This is what they've made in profit. So they're quarterly profit, but yet they still get money. ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, Chevron, again, the oil companies. These guys make profit hand over foot. So why do they still need subsidies? Why? Your profit. You making profit. You making profit. Spend through yours first. And then if you need, we'll be more than happy to, again, give you. But people on the street should struggle because you still made $10.7 billion in profit, an increase of 69%, and you still need subsidies? I don't understand. Massive tax breaks on top of corporate welfare. Look at Citibank, $2.7 trillion. Corporate welfare government handouts, 2.7. Citigroup, on top of an additional tax break of $9.1 billion. Really? Really? Again, the list is staggering. The companies that make money, they have profit, and yet they still keep getting more and more and more and more of our tax dollar. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Look at the tax dodgers. GE, $108 billion. Apple, $102 billion. Pfizer, $73 billion. Microsoft, $61 billion. Merrick, $53 billion. Citigroup, $43 billion. Google, $33 billion. Tax dodgers, not paying their fair share. But yet you get more and more and more and more and more and more of our tax dollar. We have to demand an end to corporate welfare. No more handouts to particular companies and industries simply because they're big enough and powerful enough to get them. I said that in the beginning. They only get it because of their name. That's it. They only get it because they lobby Congress to give them what they want because Congress is so heavily invested in these companies that they have forgotten what their true job is, which is to protect us, the citizens. No more specialized tax breaks, no more exemptions or special treatments, no more crony capitalism. And corporate welfare now. And if you don't know who Robert Reich is, Robert Reich was the labor secretary under Bill Clinton. Smart guy. And I don't even just listen to Robert Reich. I also listen to Jared Bernstein. I also follow a lot of other economists who understand that we cannot keep going down the road in which we're going while rich get richer and poor get poorer. We clearly understand that. And if you haven't been paying attention, the rich got almost $500 billion richer during a pandemic. You would think that they would be doing more for the citizens, more for us, the people, because we spend so much of our money keeping them in these lavish lifestyles that they constantly keep showing to us. But again, corporate welfare queens, tax evaders, and yet we still keep giving them more and more and more and more and more, while we, the citizens, struggles more and more and more. All right, so where does every part of our dollar go? And I know we're going to wrap it up here. This is going to be the last, but like I said, this is a two-part series. I need all of us to understand we have to do our part. If we don't do our part, we're going to be taken advantage of. So where does every portion of our dollar goes? All right, so there's the breakdown. Look at commerce and transportation, 4 cents. Income security, 15 cents. National defense, 18 cents. Energy and environment, 1 cent. So we're not doing enough for the programs that we should be doing enough for, and we're clearly giving way too much to those programs that should not. Veterans benefits, 3 cents. Our veterans don't deserve maybe 18, maybe 23%. Why don't we put 23% or 23% into the veterans? And why don't we put maybe, where's education and social services, 4 cents? Why don't we put 18 cents and switch that out with the national defense? National defense can sit back for a little bit because a lot of the stuff that they're getting, they don't even want. They don't even want $30-40 million for airplanes that, again, they don't even want. And I'm talking about per airplane. In 1 year, the average American taxpayer makes $50,000 and pays $36 towards food stamps, $6 towards safety net programs. But look at the big ones, the big chunk ones. $870 for corporate subsidies, $1,600 to offset corporate loopholes, and $1,231 to offset losses of corporate tax havens. If you think this is fair, you are either wealthy or not very smart. Corporate welfare corrupts democracy. I'm going to leave it there because my time is just about up. You have been an amazing public. You have been, as I always say, every single Tuesday, this is for you. We need our public to be informed. If you are informed, you're less likely to be taken advantage of. You're more likely to stand up for what you believe in and what you know is right. Democrats, I'm throwing this out to you. You need individuals like me who can offer this to our citizens, who can prepare our citizens for what's to come in the midterms of 2022 and also in the general of 2024. All of us, no matter what the R does, we need to be out. We need to be voting. It doesn't matter. This is now the time. Do we save democracy or do we become an autocracy? It's up to you, people. It's up to every single last one of us to decide. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for allowing me the time. My name is Tyrone Glover. I would love to hear from anyone who thinks that or believes that they can add something more to the conversation. And as we move through this, thank you so much. Leverage Credit Recovery is our leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com is our is our email. Leveragecreditrecovery.com is our website. Please take the time, make the time to visit. I'm always grateful and appreciative of this Tuesday. I want to thank everybody who makes that time to allow for me to educate you, give you some valuable resources and tools. This is one of the highlights of my week, and I thank you, everyone, sincerely from the bottom of my heart. Be safe, America. All the best. Wear that mask, social distance, and I can't wait to see you until that next show. All the best.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.